But regarding, again, back to the process, so somebody who served in the House and now the Senate, what are some of the differences in process? And we spoke about that, we saw each other at the airport, and we spoke a little bit about one of the differences was what?
Um, the House, it seems to me, act collectively and the senators, on the other hand, act more individually. I think in the House, there's more pressure because there's so many more of you folks to toe the line, for lack of a better phrase. Rather than in the Senate, we we vote how we how we believe needs to be voted. And I gave you one big example. If you ever watch the votes in the Senate, every Senate every senator's vote is counted who's there. Versus in the House,
We
if they
use
don't
green
have
slips.
enough, yeah, you
Oh,
guys use green
we use
slips.
green slips, which means that the majority caucus has green slips, and I believe the minority caucus, which are the Republicans, they use these things called pink slips. So if we're going to vote no on a bill, we quietly fill out a green slip. I'm in the majority caucus, and we hand it to the majority floor leader or the part of the majority leadership, and then they tally. And what I've learned about that process is basically it allows leadership to know who's voting no. And sometimes what has happened twice so far is that there have been motions to recommit, and that was what's different in the Senate. They don't do recommittals. In the House,
Every
if they're
vote counts.
tallying, if leadership kind of secretly because we don't know unless the vote is taken. We don't know who's actually voting no. So they kind of use it as an opportunity to jump. Leadership does, and then they go, "Oh, let's do a motion to recommit because we don't have enough votes." But we don't know who didn't support. We don't know who's who. So if we want to work on the issue, who to talk to, right? So it really is a way of keeping the body in the dark, unfortunately. So that's a question I have. And I actually consider it to be decision making behind closed door because the public doesn't see how they're going to vote. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a part. And there is a lawsuit right now
Yeah.
from I think eight citizens across the state are suing the House of Representatives because at the beginning of this session, we adopted rules, and I voted against it, but we adopted rules that actually keep the public from seeing some of our process. And so these citizens are suing because the Constitution actually states in very clear language that the public shall see the decision making of the legislature. And they should be notified of public hearing. There should be get noticed as well as be able to observe the decision making. So right now that case is in front of the judiciary, speaking of checks and balances. So this is an opportunity for the judiciary to check and balance the legislature.
Yes.
Um, so that was one of the things. So the green slip thing, which is only in the House, not in the Senate.
Mhm.
And you mentioned that you guys are all more independent,
Yeah.
whereas in the House, I think there's just a few of us who vote independently, who vote independently. And I think, are you referring to factions?
Yes, there's more factions in the House
Okay.
than
And
there are,
then
right, and
in the
then so
Senate.
then there are in the
Right.
Senate.
And so
So
I recently was outed as calling these factions prison gangs
okay.
because and only because it feels a little like if you don't have the protection of a prison gang, you're going to get shanked in the yard. You know what I mean? And for me, and for that means your bills are going to get killed, you're going to be ostracized, whatever. All these different ways of shanking you because you're unprotected by a faction or a prison gang.
Okay, so the reasoning back when I was in the House for how they do what they do, which is, the whole recommittal and the lack of transparency, is what they call protecting the membership. Because compared to the Senate, where we run 4-4-2, okay, it means two terms are 4-year terms. The House runs every 2 years.
Okay.
So they're always running.
Okay.
Okay, and
Protecting the membership from who and from what?
right, right. It's a question of getting reelected
Oh,
again.
so protecting them from being held accountable to their constituents. Is that what you're saying?
And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you the
Oh.
reason. I'm
That's
just
not what
telling
you're
you the
saying.
reason. You know, because
Protect, well,
Emmy, because
protect from
Kim,
who?
because Kim, you know that I am very open
You
as
are.
I mean, people call me out on my votes all the time. I
Yes.
mean, you see it on Civil Beat,
Yes.
you know, and
Yes.
I explain why I voted, regardless
Yes.
of whether or not
Yes. As it
you're
should be.
against me or right.
Right. As it should
Right.
be.
So yeah, so I don't mind, but apparently there are people, mostly in the house, who need to be protected
But
more.
I mean, and that to me, I actually find that to be problematic
Yeah.
because we
Okay.
are adults, we are elected into office. And how will the public hold us accountable if we're protecting each other from public? Yeah, if we don't know how they don't know how we voted or how if we participated in killing a bill behind the scenes, how can our constituents hold us accountable? So we could literally go out in public and say, "Oh, I support this," and then quietly be killing bills and the same bills that
So
we say.
so I'm just going to say one other thing.
Okay.
We have somebody has the stats. I don't. You probably do. We have so many bills that come in January,
Yes.
and we have to make a decision by mid-May. Okay, by the first week of May, really, on which bills get passed. And a lot of, if you just look at the statistics, a lot of members, and mostly in the House, the senators, we are like two generations on average older than you folks in the House, are people who are in their 20s who don't have life experiences. So a lot of them, I think, okay, um, don't read the bills and vote because their faction tells them that this is how you should vote. And so those are the people I think need the protection more than, you know, you and I read bills, Kim Coco, so we don't need the protection, but there are people who do.
Got it. That's interesting. So just to clarify, I did not say any of those words. Okay. Thank you, Joy. Okay. So another issue is another difference from and this was a rule that that I think I wanted added to the rule changes that got ignored, which was to follow the Senate. The Senate, your drafting office staff, the staff that actually puts your bill ideas into a bill form, they're the ones who do the committee referrals. They determine in the Senate.
No, they don't.
That's in your rules, which I just read.
Well,
I just read
I
because
better
I'm
go look
studying
at it,
this.
but
The rules say that your Senate, it's called the Senate. What is it? Office.
no, there's the Senate Majority SMA
Yes, but there is your
agency.
the agency is the
No,
one who identifies
they
supposedly
identifies.
which committees the bills are going to.
No, they identify it for the leadership, and then the
Okay.
leadership does the
Confirms.
actual
Yeah. Okay, got it.
referrals.
So, but in the House right now, the drafting agency, I mean, you would think that they're the ones drafting the language, so so they'll go, oh, this should go to this committee first, and then this one later. Because in theory, right, if a freshman legislator is drafting a bill, what do they know about which bill? So in theory, and that's also makes it more objective because it's not being manipulated. Committee referrals are very easy to manipulate the outcome of a bill based on the committee. For instance, in the House, they sent the marijuana legalization of adult use, responsible adult use marijuana bill. They sent that to consumer protection, but the one that they didn't send to consumer protection was the online sports wagering bill. They didn't send that one to consumer protection. So so it sends a clear message that this one's going to move, but this one might not move because we know who the committee chair is. He doesn't like either things. So you make one go around that committee chair. So this is the part that feels manipulative on behalf of the leadership, right? So this is how the House works. It starts with leadership. And then there's a review committee. So it starts with the speaker, there's a review committee, and then the speaker. But what I would like to see is more similar to the Senate version, which is the drafting office, which is more objective, that they determine, hey, just on the language, it should go to this bill, this committee, and then this committee, and then make it more detached. And then, like you said, leadership can go in and tweak it, but it's very transparent that leadership went in there and started messing things. You know what I mean? So that's the difference.
Mm,
So I
okay.
would like to see us more like, what you guys do. So that's one of the different house rules. Are there any other house rules that you think that you
Um,
miss from the house or that you
no, I don't miss any of the house rules.
Okay. Okay, that's fair.